The way we were raised and the experiences we had in childhood influence our behavior and habits in relationships. If our parents were overly caring or strict, we might try to please others to avoid upsetting them. This can prevent us from taking care of our own needs and achieving personal happiness. Psychologists say that for happiness, it's important to think more about ourselves and solve our own problems. It turns out that everyone has a specific love style based on their upbringing. By understanding our type of love, we can learn how it affects our relationships. First type, people-pleasing. Our behavior is often shaped by our upbringing and the experiences we had in childhood. Our habits in relationships and how we act in love can be linked to how we were raised, the habits of our parents, and the events we went through when we were young. Sometimes parents can have a negative influence on their children, which can impact their lives. Psychologists explain that such influence can shape our habits in romantic relationships. For example, if parents were overly caring or overly critical, we might grow up to be people who always try to please others to avoid upsetting them. This behavior can persist and become normal for us in relationships. People who are accustomed to pleasing from childhood may feel out of place when it comes to love. They might be too busy trying to make their partner happy, forgetting about their own comfort. Such people may not know how to say no and often compromise, even if it causes them discomfort, just to avoid upsetting someone they love. To find happiness, it's important for them to learn to care more about themselves and solve their own problems, rather than just striving for the happiness of others. Write the number 1 in the comments if you recognize yourself. Second type, submissiveness. People who faced chaos in childhood and did not receive enough attention from their parents might choose partners in adulthood who remind them of their parents. These could be partners who try to control them, causing constant nervous tension in the relationship. Such individuals often feel like victims of circumstances, both in childhood and as adults. It's important for them to learn to protect their interests and rights, so they don't become victims in relationships and life in general. They should aim for healthy relationships where their needs and desires are respected and valued. Striving for healthy relationships where personal boundaries and mutual respect are valued is key to happiness. Learning to say no and expressing one's feelings and needs can help avoid repeating the negative experiences of childhood. It's important to remember that every person deserves to be heard and loved for who they are, without the need to constantly prove something or sacrifice themselves. Openness to new relationships and readiness for change can help overcome fears inherited from childhood. Establishing healthy boundaries and seeking support from friends or a therapist can also be helpful steps. Ultimately, self-acceptance and self-respect are the foundation for building happy and harmonious relationships. Write the number 2 in the comments if this sounds like you. Third type, total control. There are people who felt abandoned in childhood without parental support. They learn to do everything themselves and not to trust anyone. As they grow up, they try to keep everything under control, fearing defeat or facing the same problems they did in childhood. These are strong individuals, but they don't like changes in their life. They want everything to go according to their plan, and if something goes wrong, they can become aggressive. It's important for them to learn to manage their emotions and allow others to be themselves. It's also beneficial for them to develop flexibility in thinking to better adapt to changes. The ability to embrace the new and let go of the old can help them find inner balance and harmony. For such people, it's important to understand that control is not the only way to gain confidence. Trusting others and being open to new experiences can lead to deeper and more meaningful relationships. Realizing that it's impossible to control every aspect of life can be the first step towards freeing oneself from past grievances and starting a new chapter. Write the number 3 in the comments if you recognize yourself. Fourth type, indecisiveness. People who are uncertain in love often grew up in families where parents were inconsistent and failed to show them enough love. As a result, they fear being abandoned. As adults, they seek the reliable and constant love they lacked in childhood. They may fall in love quickly and often feel disappointed. To avoid this, they should not rush into things. It's important for such individuals to remember that true love doesn't require constant proof of feelings. They should aim for relationships where they are valued and accepted for who they are, without conditions and expectations. Write the number 4 in the comments if you recognize yourself. Fifth type, disregard. As children, they learn to be independent because their parents didn't pay attention to them. Parents told them not to cry or complain. Therefore, as they grew up, they became less emotional and didn't let people get too close to them. They need to learn to open up their feelings to others. It's hard, but they can learn. By opening up to others, they can develop deeper and more genuine relationships. Learning to understand and accept others' feelings will help them become more empathetic and responsive. This is the path to true emotional wealth and mutual understanding with those around them. Write the number 5 in the comments if you recognize yourself. Much in our lives depends on what happened in childhood. If you have problems, work on solving them. Don't hesitate to ask for support from friends or family. It's important for your happiness. Remember, overcoming difficulties makes you stronger. The support of loved ones can give you the strength to move forward. And don't forget, every step towards change is a step towards a better version of yourself. Write in the comments what your love language is.